and I deal with certain issues on global politics. As you all know, there are diverse fields, and in the diverse fields, each one is interconnected with the other. So far as I know, and I've seen the topics or the syllabus that you've been doing, many of them were related to data, historical evidences, chronological events, and all such things. Right? So far as I've seen. But the topic that I'm going to do deals more with interpretation. And as you know, no interpretation is the final interpretation. A lot of discussions and researches have been going on in the topic globalization. And of course, when you talk about globalization, we talk about localization. Right? And I'm also in the learning page. I'm also in the learning page, as we all are. Global politics is such a vast issue that needs a lot of concentration, and the entire life is not enough. So I expect that I will be able to share some of my views with you, and no affirmation is entirely true or false. Affirmations or statements are either valid or invalid, either agreed upon or disagreed upon. Right? There could be a lot of queries, and instead of going into the technical jargons at first, let me simplify the issue quite clearly with the examples that we have here. That would be quite better. You see, for example, I'm going to quote, in my time, in the shoes and pants, and on my head, I have what? Takatobi. What is this? This is what itself is globalization and localization. Or in a new term, we can say localization. Yeah, localization. People have different habits. Excuse me if I move around, right? Because I have the habit of moving around and expressing the things. That would be better. Because proximity counts counts a lot. If I look there on the top and say, do you have any query? You feel quite good, right? So I've got to have a eye contact with you. Because sometimes I come over there and say, well, for example, the pen you are writing with, the watch that you are wearing, the curtains that we have here, and on top of that, the projector that we have been projecting here itself is a symbol of globalization. Right? This is the symbol of globalization. Globalization is not a simple issue of one aspect. What? Is that okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Please say, if you have anything, Do you understand the way that I speak? Alright, that's really fine. If there is any query, you can just raise your hand and say, sir, I didn't understand this term or something like that, right? So, let's talk about the very word sub. S-I-R sub. In Nepali, we have translated it as Maasai, but we don't use Maasai, do we? We use sir in the local context. Whenever you go to the bus and the money collector would ask you, sir, could I get the bus fare? Right? Every event of globalization starts with the collection of different items of localizations. Because every unification unification is made by the amalgamation and mixture of small things. So is the case. As I have already told, the topic that I am talking about is more related to interpretation than data and all. Right? So, you can see language, first thing. You can see culture. Culture is really a very broad term. You can see economics. You can see mass communication. You can see ethnography. You can see science and technology. And of course, as you know, this are military servicemen, you can see warfare activities. You know, while making the strategies, it is not only the science and technology and warfare activities, but also the psychology of the people in different places determined by the culture that you've got to take into consideration. Psychological aspects. You deal with geography and how geographical variations bring about variations in the strategies in warfare. That also has been a global issue. So, globalization is mixing up all these diverse aspects in a single pot and kept in a local place and seen from the global spectacle. Let me simplify. Globalization is linking, finished. Simple. Globalization is nothing more than linking. Linking up social aspects, economic aspects, psychological aspects, geographical aspects. How many aspects you have heard? Link them up. You know, under the big canopy of, under the big umbrella of world. We all human beings living under the blue sky. You know? So, that is global. Why are you talking about this? What is the use of globalization? When you study something in your curriculum or the topic, you know, you have to realize first thing, but why? You know? We could have studied about history, we could have studied about economic resources, we could have studied about natural resources. Why is this globalization? The point is that no one is untouched. Nothing is untouched by the universal phenomenon. Small event in one part of the globe means Earth has its impacts in a long time. Small event here in Kathmandu will have the vast effects around the world. Let me give you an example. Syrian crisis. Is Syrian crisis just the subject matter of Syria or the subject matter of entire globe? It's the subject matter of the entire globe. Is the Iraq-Iran war just the subject matter of Iran and Iraq, or it still had the effects in the entire universe, entire world? Right? Let's talk about the recent one, Rohingya refugees. We have never thought that the activities of Aung San Suu Kyi, or let me not blame her, if sometimes I happen to make mistakes, please correct me. So I wouldn't like to blame just Aung San Suu Kyi, because blaming a particular person, here Aung San Suu Kyi represents Myanmar government, okay? So, the activity of Rohingya, you know, does it affect Nepal or not?
Yes. Okay.
Have you ever imagined that, you know, those Muslims there would affect the Nepali political or social scenario? Come to Bangladesh and to Nepal and all? Yeah? Or we may not have taken that into consideration because we notice only the things that go around us. You know? Let us talk about Donald Trump. You know? I always, would like to listen, news regarding Trump and all. You see, every activity ever since his, this election and all, I've been just watching on television. The way that he speaks, the way that he deals with foreign policy. Just yesterday evening, there was an interview with Hillary Clinton, right? And she was talking about Donald Trump and his foreign policy. Has the decision made by Trump regarding refugees and migration affected Nepal? So, could you give some example, please? I'm not discussing this. Please, one example. How has it affected Nepal?
Most of the illegal immigrants from Nepal are still in the US. They must be deported back to Nepal. That causes a little bit of economic problem.
Very good, not a little bit, a lot. Very good. Very good. Yes, sir? Someone else? Could you give another example? Whether his moves are right or wrong, that's another thing of discussion. It takes a very long time and there will be a free political debate, and we are not here to talk about all these things. We would just see the global issues from the local eyes or the local issues from the global eyes, and that's not much. Mixing up all those things. Anything? Any other example, please? Trump's foreign policy and its impact on Nepal. Simple.
We will not get the sufficient economic level from the US.
Very good. Very good point. And next. Have you done with Trump? Lecture on Trump? And we got the syllabus that you selected, right? Donald Trump. Yes? Anything else?
The running of the international organizations like WHO would be affected by
Very good. Multinational companies, various NGOs and INGOs. Right. Simple example. Our children appear to go there for higher education. Right? Our children. So that is just an example. Now let me get to something better. We all generally, when I was a student, the case was same, now also the same case. The point is that we don't have to definition. Not being able to define what a horse is does not necessarily mean that you do not have the knowledge of a horse. Right? So the essence of ideas or differences of ideologies, comprehension of the terms are more important than definition. Right? So, no definition is a perfect definition. How many of you have got 3 years? Is your answer? Everyone. Do you remember the example of machine?
Yes, sir.
And the example of the book that I gave?
Yes.
Similarly here, I'm not going to run out of definition or realization. Concept is more important. And in your respective level, you know a lot about globalization. I'm here to just discuss some of the points regarding globalization. Let me start with an anecdote, a small example. It was the year, I think, 1999, when there was a summit, third summit of WTO in Sylhet or something there in Hong Kong. Right? 1999 in the month of April. Okay? There was convention or some kind of gathering. Many people from different corners of the world had come there. Okay? To participate in the convention. And outside the WTO office, okay, that is known as I think Hong Kong, SEATTLE. Okay. So on the morning of November 30, not April, sorry mistake, 1999, 50,000 people packed in the downtown near WTO, there in Hong Kong. It was a diverse group, including journalists, environmentalists, right, professors, or people from different walks of life. They were slogan to stop the meeting, to stop, the ceremony there. Could you guess the reason why? Oh. Yes, sir. People are gathered, to deal with economic aspects. The meeting up, World Trade Organization. Alright? And they wanted to talk about liberal economies, free markets.
They want to make a global village.
If they wanted to make global
Yes,
village,
global, making world, thinking world as a global village and connecting trade, something.
Yes.
And so,
those delegates wanted to do that. Delegates wanted to do that. Those scholars wanted to do that. But what about those agitators? Okay, let me tell you. Those agitators were anti-globalist. Alright? They were anti-globalist. They had a fear. Alright? People have the fear of consequence of globalization. Okay? Consequence of globalization. On the first sight, you might think, right, what harm is there if things are globalized? That's very good. I can wear the jacket brought from UK, technologies from US and UK can be applied here for the benefit of our country. What harm is there? Why were they protesting against the summit of WTO there in Hong Kong? The surface level we could do. I just want to, this brainstorm and get ideas. Why do you think? What would be their points? One is the fear of the consequences of globalization. This deliberately I didn't write the title up there because it loses interest. Okay. Don't worry, you'll have about this materials in your Gmail or whatever you have. There are this everything along with title has been given. Right? I have already given. Before the class I give the materials. I have already given to Dr. Rajendra Keshi. So the WTO meeting lasted the week, but the delegates left without reaching agreement. Since the end of the Cold War, arguably the most important feature of global politics has been the process of globalization. Globalization is a complex phenomenon. I haven't defined, I have elaborated. With many dimensions, such as social dimension, economic dimension, cultural dimension, academic dimension, and here our major purpose is to see the diverse aspects in the surface level. Because each dimension, if you take in detail, it becomes a thesis. It becomes a big project. Right? It becomes a big project. So, they went against globalization because they thought globalization creates a kind of unemployment in developed countries like Hong Kong, developed places like Hong Kong. Because if industries and others are globalized, naturally you are able to establish your industries in any country you go, and you choose a country where monetary investment will be less. You will have to pay less. Rohingya refugees have come to Nepal, and a person, a Nepali, will get 500 per day if you do some menial work, then you come. But Rohingya, how much are they paying? 100, 250. That was written in the country book. Right? They have been paid like that. They had a fear. They had the fear that they would be unemployed. So that is why they made it. So, some believe that major states continue to control the globalization process, while others argue that globalization and technology that sustains it are creating a borderless world in which states enjoy less and less domestic autonomy, especially regarding their economy. Okay, I'll read it there. I'll show you. My point is that if a lion and a goat come to the same pond Pokari, to drink water, you have to understand that there is some vested interest of time. Got it? You would say, dear God, we all are the creations of God. You are not to get afraid. Please come near. So the lion, if you don't believe me, you go to that end of the pond, I will stay in this end of the pond, and we will drink water together. The goat gets believed. The goat goes closer and closer and closer, and the lion gets proper opportunity to jump up on the goat. Right? That was the fear. The fear was that globalization was the issue controlled by a handful of rich countries for their vested interest. English has become an international language that is cultural globalization and linguistic globalization because the Westerners wanted to retain their hegemony. Do you understand the term hegemony? Samprabhutavad. Okay? So if you don't understand, please tell me, okay? So, they wanted to create hegemony. There could be many other multiple answers. Okay? English is the language. So similarly, a handful of countries, developed countries, globalization, some people believe that major states continue to control the globalization process, whereas others argue that globalization is not something that can be stopped. It's not a matter of big countries only. It grows as a process. You cannot stop people from growing. You cannot stop the process of human development. You cannot stop the process of human inquisition. You cannot stop the process of human will to go forward. How can we stop globalization? There are two sides. Anti-globalization speakers and speakers speaking in favor of globalization. Right? So that is the thing. I'm not that interested. We're not going to do that more. Oh, we got it. No, it's not the problem. This is here. And I just what are we talking about this? So now let's see. Globalization needs people. KNIT need people together. Right? Bind people together. Connect people together. Bring people together so that there will be more interdependence. So that there will be more interdependence. That is one issue. Others would say, no, it can be. Globalization weakens the national sovereignty. National sovereignty. It is not in favor of nationalism. It is not in favor of patriotism. It is not in favor of our soil. It is not in favor of our identity. It is not in favor of our culture. What do you say? Talk to you.
Yes, sir.
Are you in favor of globalization or against?
In between.
All right. It is not in favor of our country. There are such people who say, and my work is here not to take one side but to present different sides. Not the discourse for the Alright? So that is the point. And it is the spread of ideas. It is the spread of culture. And of course, it is the spread of knowledge or intellectuality. I have been able to speak in front of you like this in English just because of globalization. Otherwise, I would have been still speaking the language my forefathers or my Pandit Baji and all spoke. Sakala Vidyarthi Brindasya Patana Pathani Hetu Aham Katyasthanam Prasthana Karomi. Or to the most, I would be able to speak the language of my neighboring country. Or could be local languages. We will be talking about localization also. Lasso, Jeju, Tigamala, whatever you can. Or simple, can I say I have subject child? So what is it? Local languages and all. But in order to make yourself understood in the platform of the global, in order to conserve your local culture and make them understand your importance, you've got to be the mainstream. You've got to be a drop of the mainstream. Which is what I've already told you I'm not going to present you data. You will find thousands of data in the net. What is important is ideas, presentation of ideas. Okay? So next. Well, I was talking about intellectuality. Many of you have heard about Romeo and Juliet, haven't you?
Yes.
Many of you have heard about Nelson Mandela, haven't you? Why? Because human problems are same wherever we are. It's not that your tears are the representation of your joy or sadness, and my tears are just a concentration of salt and water. Is it so? Oh, that's a pretty good. Okay, never mind. Okay? That's why even in the intellectual programs, when there are seminars and all, people start laughing. Jokes are not important, meanings behind the jokes are important here. It's not that you weep to clean your eyes. It's not that you weep to clean your heart and I weep to clean my eyes. So, globalization is not only the matter of manifestation or the sun, on the surface. Realize the core issues. You can see both pros and cons. Realize the core issues. Core issues of globalization. Having said this, let me get into the features of globalization. Okay? So, in the features of globalization, the point is the spread of communication. Alright. These are the features of globalization. I have written the title. I bring various things together and I will try to put it there. So, proliferation growth technology is a split it. This is an example of globalization. You can look at home and read it.
Yeah.
Right? So, that is globalization. Spread of communication and information technologies. We are in the information loaded age. Mass communication loaded age. Once there was a time when different other objects used to be used for communicating. You say signs, symbols, and index. Right? Signs, symbols, index, various things. In all other religion study and all. Red flag, white cloth, cross, swastika. They all were symbols. Yes, they all still retain their value now. Here's a simple example. Very tired, taking classes and all, you go home and you just switch on your cell phone and see the Facebook and you see a lot of messages. Which message to read first? A person nowadays has been a traffic police. They are in the crossroad. There is a horn, there is one bus coming, another bus coming and all. So we are in the information loaded age. And this information loadedness has got certain diverse issues, certain pitfalls, certain weaknesses. Yet you cannot do without it. Imagine the day without a cell phone with you. Can you? So we live in the day of science and technology. We use various items of science and technology. So that is the sign of globalization. We live in the age of technology and all. Well, there are cellular and satellite phones, faxes, and of course whenever there is one issue, if you do not have more ideas and want to beautify along with varied ideas, try to connect one idea with another, another with another, another with another, and showing the interconnectedness. That's the way. That's the way. Because you cannot write a long thing on a simple topic sentence, single topic sentence. So something like China, science and technology is very important. Without science and technology, we cannot live. Globalization encourages science and technology. But how? How does it? What is the importance of science and technology in trade and commerce? What is the importance of science and technology in medication? What is the importance of science and technology in military warfare and others? How has science and technology rendered the ways in which people used to wage wars at that time? Nowadays, sitting in a single chair, in a single corner of your office, in any office, you can wage war. Previously, heads of soldiers used to be counted. The rifles and guns used to be counted. But now, the biochemical weapons, their technical breakthrough, advancement, all get evaluated for war. Right? So, this is the magic of science and technology. You see? So, this science and technology, has made contribution in various areas. Let me talk about one thing. Like satellite phones, cellular phones, global marketing of films and television programs. Of course, we have to go through that aspects. Hence, we have to overcome geography. And at the same time, nationality and citizenship have become two different things here. Right? At the same time, you become a global national, having the citizenship of a single country. Right? So nationality and citizenship have become two different things. You have become a global citizen, having the nationality of Nepal. Hence we have overcome geography. You can connect to the people in different corners of the world and get to know the things. How far are the advantages and disadvantages? We'll be talking a little bit. So, sovereign boundaries of the states are becoming more porous, more weaker. You cannot stop terrorists coming to your countries though you try your best. Because they have applied such science and technological aspects that they come to know the loopholes and get into the country. So life has become more challenging, right? So national boundaries have become more porous. Nowadays, many people you may have seen would not like to brag that I am Nepali, I am Gorkhali and all. Rather would say, hey, I'm going to buy a sari. It's a hey. So what has become global village? Global village. Your term, what is it? Do you know that? Do you have any idea, sir? एउटा पत्रकार हुनुहुन्छ उहाँ चाहिँ मिडिया थियरिस्ट हो उहाँको नाम हो म्याक्लुहान भन्छौँ हामी मार्सल म्याक्लुहान MARSHAL Marshall McLuhan. Marshall McLuhan, he coined the term global village. Okay? So, the point is that sovereign boundaries have become fickle. Sovereign boundaries. So, stream of migrants due to globalization. I gave you the example of Rohingya refugees, Tibetan people coming to Nepal. Of course, India naturally, many of them were Nepali.